Broadcasts of the City of Neenah Common Council meetings are produced by University Studios of the University of Wisconsin-Fox Valley. Neenah residents can get information about City Council meetings, City Committee meetings, meeting agendas, and other documents via the City website, www.neenahgov.org. Neenah residents can express their opinions about city issues or about these broadcasts by contacting the mayor's office, contacting their city alderman, or by completing the electronic feedback form on the city website, www.neenahgov.org. All public portions of the meetings are recorded in entirety and are not edited for playback.
Good evening. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Common Council for Wednesday, January 22nd, 2020. Welcome you all here. First item of business will be the roll call. Please answer the clerk as your name is called and sign in on the roll call machine.
Alderman Boyette.
Here.
Bates.
Here.
Lang.
Here.
Lendrum.
Here.
Erickson.
Here.
Spellman.
Here.
Steele.
Here.
Coons.
Here.
Stevenson.
Here.
Please join us as Alderman Bates leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
All right. Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome back. We didn't have our first meeting in January because of the holiday schedule. So item number 2, introduction and confirmation of some mayor's appointments. We have 4 appointments to make with 7 individuals, I believe. We will do the appointments and then Clerk Sturm will swear them all in at the same time, correct? All right. Mayor Crawford's appointment of Daniel Baumann to fill the expired term of Michael Smaby on the Waterworks Commission. This term will expire October 2023. Is there a motion?
Motion. Second.
There's a motion and a second to confirm the appointment. Any discussion? All these volunteers and people that are being confirmed, you all received in your packet their little bio and their application. So we have that information on these folks. So there's a motion and a second. I ask unanimous consent to confirm the appointment of Daniel Bowman to fill the expired term of Michael Smaby on the Waterworks Commission. Is there any objection? Seeing no objection, that's so ordered. Item number B, Mayor Crawford's reappointment of Gail Dolan, Robert Wedge, and John Rather as the second alternate on the Board of Appeals for a 3-year term to expire January 2023. Is there a motion?
Move to approve the mayor's reappointments.
Second.
There's a motion by Alderman Bates, seconded by Alderman Lendrum.
Erickson.
Erickson.
Erickson, I'm sorry. Erickson. Any discussion? Any objection to unanimous consent to these 3 appointments? Being none, that's ordered. Mayor Crawford's appointment of Herb Allen to fill the unexpired term of Scott Belter on the Committee on Aging for a 3-year term that will expire September 2022. Is there a motion?
Move to approve the mayor's appointment.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the appointment. Any discussion? Any objection to unanimous consent? Seeing no objection, that's so ordered. And item number D, Mayor Crawford's appointment of Jim Schroffnagel to fill the vacant second alternate position on the Board of Appeals. This term will expire January 2022. Is there a motion?
Move to approve. Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the appointment of Jim Schroffnagel. Any discussion? Seeing none. Any objection, unanimous consent? Seeing none, that's so ordered. Those 4, we have 1, 2, 3. We have 3 of those individuals here tonight to be sworn in. Patty will go down and give them the oath of office. I'd invite the 3, Dan and Jim and Herb up to the microphone, please. Maybe before she swears you in, you could just introduce yourselves and say hi to the council. Introduce yourself. Tell us Reader's Digest version of why you're here and that. We'd appreciate it. Dan, you want to say hi?
Sure. I'm Dan Bowman. Reader's Digest version of why I'm here. I'm a 41-year resident of Neenah. I came here with the help of Kimberly Clark as an IT professional, information technology professional. I retired from there after 31 years. Ran a couple of departments, some very large projects, multi-million dollars in each case. This seemed like something I could do to help the city, make sure that we have clean water, economical.
Thank you very much. Herb, come on up.
Herb Allen. The Reader's Digest version is I've lived in the city of Neenah since 1978. I'm 75 years old, so I'm over the threshold that you have to reach to get onto the Committee of Aging. I know the day and the date most days. And for the sake of a committee that has a fairly high attrition rate at times, I'm alive. I was a psychiatrist, mostly in private practice for 30 years here, and I retired in 2008. I was on the committee for, I think, 5 or 6 years, but had to leave to kind of shepherd my wife, who was developing enough dementia that it wasn't safe to leave her at home long. Now that she's safely at the VNA for the last 16 months, I'd like to get back onto the committee. I enjoyed it, found it very interesting. I spent a lot of time teasing Alderwoman Bates, who used to have the courage to show up at the meetings despite the teasing. And that's my extended Reader's Digest.
And to add to that, he was
story.
always challenging us to do more for seniors, which is good.
Thank you.
Glad to have you back.
Thank you much.
Welcome,
Thanks.
Jim.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Jim Schroffnagel. I'm going to do the short version of the Reader's Digest. I came to Neenah in 1962 at the age of 10. I'm a retired Neenah city employee. I'm married, have 7 children and 8 grandchildren, and I'm proud to help out.
Good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Gary, we can always, snowplow driver calls in sick. Now you got Jim.
I'll have you all step up by the microphone. And if you'll raise your right hand and repeat after me, I, and state your names,
Daniel Schroff.
having been appointed
Having been appointed
a member of, and state your committee
Committee on Aging.
of the City of Neenah,
City of Neenah,
Winnebago County,
Winnebago County,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to support the Constitution
the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States,
and the Constitution
the Constitution
of the State of Wisconsin,
of the State of Wisconsin,
and faithfully discharge the duties
faithfully discharge the duties
of a member of, and state your committee
Member of the
Water
Committee on
Commission.
Aging.
to the best of my ability,
to my ability.
so help me God.
Help me God.
Congratulations.
All right, thank you very, very much, gentlemen, for your willingness to participate in government and help the city out. We really appreciate it, all of you. Thank you very, very much. Before we move on from the appointments, just want to make sure there's an item number B under John Rather. John should be listed as the first alternate on the Board of Appeals and not the second. Got a typo there, okay? So clerk will make that adjustment. That was just pointed out to me, so make that adjustment, okay? Item number 3 is the approval of the council proceedings. Is there a motion?
Move to approve. Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the council proceedings of January 6, 2020 special session, December 18th regular session, and the November 19th 2019 special budget public hearing. Any comments, questions, corrections, additions, or discussion? Seeing none, ask unanimous consent. Is there any objection? Seeing none, that's ordered. There are no public hearings tonight, no plan commission or any of those committee reports pertaining to the public hearings. Brings us to item number 6, which is the public forum. The public forum is an opportunity for any citizen to come before the council and discuss any topic that they would like. All we ask is that you give your name and address and limit your comments to 5 minutes or less. Is there anyone here tonight who would like to address the council under the public forum section? Okay. Seeing none today, we will close that. Move on to item number 8, which is the consent agenda. Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
Move to approve.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? I ask unanimous consent. Is there any objection? See no objection, that's so ordered. Item number 9 is report of the standing committees. Item number A, Special Public Services and Safety Committee meeting. I'm sorry, Alderman Erickson?
Bates.
You want to give this report or no? I'm sorry.
Bates.
Bates. I'm sorry. Bates. Yeah.
Thank you,
My
Mayor.
committee's miscalled.
We had a meeting tonight concerning an air conditioning unit. It was we had to order things, so we had a special meeting to get it in the time frame that we needed it. Committee recommends the council approve the purchase of a new air conditioning unit for the police department in the amount of $59,883 from Energy Control and Design Incorporated in Appleton using 2020 capital project funds, and it was budgeted at $60,000, and I would so move.
Second.
There's a motion by Alderman Bates, seconded by Alderman Lendrum. Discussion on this issue. Alderman Coons?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a question. I see it's a capital item budget in 2020. It came under budget. Yet I just caught part of the committee meeting, and it seemed there was quite a bit of concern, and I'm not sure what the issue was there. If that was like, did they just get one bid, or I'm not sure what happened there.
Alderman Bates?
Yes, there was one bid, and it was the company that we should go for air conditioning units. So it was kind of a balance between when do we start reevaluating who we get products from.
I'm just curious. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Seeing no one else, all in favor of the motion will vote aye. All opposed will vote no, using the roll call machine, please. That motion passes 9-0.
And moving on to the Special Public Service and Safety Committee meeting of January 14th, the committee recommends the council adopts preliminary resolution number 2020-01 for sanitary sewer lateral construction on Abbey Avenue, Clybourne Street, Center Street, Fawn Street, Van Street, Monroe Street, and Lakeshore Avenue, and I would so move.
Second.
There's a motion by Alderman Bates, seconded by Alderman Lang. Any discussion from councilmen? Seeing no discussion, all in favor, vote aye. All opposed, vote no, using the roll call machine, please. That motion passes 9-0.
And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much for the report. Item number C, D, and item brings us down to item number E, the Neenah Menasha Fire Rescue Joint Finance and Personnel Committee meeting of January 6, 2020. Council President Stevenson.
Thank you, Mayor. As you indicated, I'm reporting out from a special Neenah Menasha Fire Rescue Joint Finance and Personnel Committee meeting that we held on January 6th. The committee recommends that the City of Neenah and Menasha councils approve the hiring of a replacement firefighter no later than February 24, 2020, and that is contingent upon formal notification received by the anticipated retiree, and I would so move.
It's no earlier, correct?
Second.
Correct.
Okay. Alderman Stevenson moves. Is there a second? Alderman Coons seconds it. Discussion on the item? Seeing no discussion, all in favor will vote aye. All opposed will vote no using the roll call machine. That motion also passes 9-0. Thank you for the report. Item number 10, the Board of Public Works meeting of January 7th, 2020. Vice Chairman Bates.
Thank you, Mayor. An information-only item, the board approved pay estimate number 1 for contract 7-19, Breezewood Lane and Harness Farm sanitary sewer construction to Dorner Incorporated, Luxembourg, in the amount of $76,972.33.
Can I just stop you right there for a second then before you move on to the action item?
Yes.
Because there's a lot of people out there who saw things going on that part of Breezewood Lane and the Harness Farm. And I guess I'd like, Jerry, you want to just explain what was going on so you might answer some questions from people?
Certainly. The project that's going on out there, the joint project between the city and the Town of Neenah Sanitary District 2, to construct a new sanitary sewer interceptor line from roughly the end of Cummings Lane down to Breezewood Lane, and then it'll run east along Breezewood Lane and tie into our existing sanitary sewer near Pendleton Road. This interceptor sewer line will allow the sanitary district to remove a lift station that they have on Cummings Lane, and will provide for more consistent and really placing that flow where it has been planned long term for many, many years. So this, again, this is a joint project. The council approved the memorandum of understanding on the project a couple years ago, and it's coming to fruition now.
So they'll be finishing in the spring, as I understand. Is that correct?
That's correct. Once they can, we clear some of the weather, they'll be starting at Breezewood Lane at the new manhole that was constructed there and working their way east. This will require blasting Breezewood Lane, so that will be closed for a period of time while that work is being done and the road is repaired.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the explanation.
And Mayor, would you also say that this is not in preparation for any sort of planned subdivision or anything else? It's what people are
that's a good
questioning.
point.
It isn't in anticipation, but there's nothing.
Right, there's nothing
There's nothing on the table at this point, but yes, Alderman Stevens is exactly right.
long-term, not immediate.
Exactly. Long-term planning. So that's a good explanation. So thank you. Sorry for the interruption.
No problem. As an action item, the board recommends council approve the final payment for contract 5-19 hot mix asphalt pavement repair to MCC Incorporated Appleton in the amount of $46,036.90, and I would so move.
Second.
There's a motion by Alderman Bates, seconded by Alderman Lang, to approve final payment contract 5-19. Any comments, questions, discussion? Seeing none, all in favor vote aye. All opposed vote no. Using the roll call machine, please. That motion passes 9-0.
And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Item number C, Community Development Authority. Is there any report tonight, Director Hayes?
No, nothing firm to report, Mayor, other than to say has been a lot of activity in downtown, and we continue to work on the two projects the two multifamily and mixed-use project, and I'm hopeful that at some point here in the near future we'll move forward with those, but things are a little bit fluid, kind of like hot lava right now, so we continue to move around. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, Alderman Coons, go ahead.
I just wonder if I could ask a question and related to the CDA, and we had talked a while back about the whole PFAS and how particularly the closing of some areas at the Gladfelter site were being held up because of that. And I don't know where we're at with that, and I don't know if there's some update on that or some future date update on that.
Tell you very quickly, the DNR has provided us an opportunity to close with but not with the exclusion of PFAS. So the strategy that I've undertaken is we will close once that site is developed and essentially capped with buildings and structures, and then the risk from my perspective is little to none. We continue to evaluate insurance options, but it's in the end, essentially, it's a little up in the air yet.
And will keeping it open cause us any other financial issues, or get from a grant standpoint or anything else?
Yeah, no, there's nothing from a grant. It's when we start to move earth that will be the next trigger point if there is one.
That PFAS issue is a major issue in the entire state of Wisconsin right now, Alderman. And I know yesterday I just read, I believe the Assembly passed a bill, and I'm not quite sure what it does yet, but there's a whole bunch of other bills out there. I heard them say that this is the first bill that they're going to pass, and they're going to be bringing more legislation forward with regards to the PFAS. But I know right now too. Alderman Bates?
Thank you, Mayor. With this opportunity to close, if we were to postpone it, is there anything else that they could throw at us that they would rescind that opportunity to close?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay. So we have some sort of guarantee for...
It is the DNR, but I don't believe so.
All right. Well, thank you very much for the comment. Item number D, report from the Library Board, Alderperson Erickson.
Thank you, Mayor. The Neenah Public Library Board of Directors, our Board of Trustees, met last Wednesday, January 15th at 4 o'clock. There are a number of programs available at the Neenah Library. I'd like to highlight a few. Tomorrow night, Thursday, January 23rd at 6:30 p.m., there is a Decluttering with Sarah Campana. This has always been a popular program, so if you're looking at decluttering, I would check this one out. I went to it a few years ago, and it was very, very popular. Also at the library, every Tuesday, this is a new weekly program. You can call ahead and get tech help. So if you are interested in having some of your tech questions answered, Neenah Library staff will take appointments so you can get those questions answered. Another program that's coming up is Road Tripping Gardens of Wisconsin with the Director of Horticulture from the Green Bay Botanical Garden. This program will give you a break from the winter whiteness, and you can tour a lot of public gardens throughout the state of Wisconsin. That will be Monday, February 3rd at 2 p.m. And the last one I'd like to highlight is the Evolution of Cruising with Bon Voyage Boutique Travel. That will be Thursday, February 6th at 6:30. There are many more programs available, so if you go on to the Neenah Public Library website, you can check them out. There are youth programs, adult programs, all sorts of programs. And while you're there, remember to check out some books. Thank you.
Thank you. We also have the report for the Neenah Arts Council from Alderperson Erickson.
Thank you, Mayor. The Neenah Arts Council met on Wednesday, January 8th. We held our meeting at the brand-new Create Lab on South Commercial Street, which is directly across from Barrel 41. And this is what most people call a maker space. It's a classroom, a workshop, a training facility for all ages. It's open most days from 12 to 9. So if you're interested, check it out on Facebook or stop in, and I'm sure that the owners would be happy to give you a tour. And that concludes my report.
All right. Thank you very much for that. There are no petitions. Anyone? Council directives, anybody? Anything under unfinished business? Unfinished business. Alderman Coons, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. One concern is Lakeshore Avenue, in particular our process moving forward. This was referred back to committee in November. My sense was that with the idea that we would bring it back and be able to act on it this year. And my concern is there's nothing, to me, the date to bring that, the latest date would have been this date. I just looked back at the minutes. There's a discussion about a petition, absolutely no action taken, no action asked or ordered. And so I'm concerned that inaction is action, in that it's going to delay this project. Whether right now, just from a cost standpoint, it isn't going to happen because we'll be too late getting pricing, or just simply can't get it done in the timeline. And then this gets pushed back, and we'll debate this issue again. This issue has been debated for over a decade, and we continue to wring our hands on this thing. Yeah, it was discussed, but no action taken. So, nothing came to this council for action, and I don't know when something will come to this committee for action. So, I'm concerned about that we are taking action by not acting and postponing this for another year. And so, I just would hope that we would. I'm not saying what comes to council, but that something would come to council soon would be the hope.
Right, thanks for your comments. There was discussion. There was a charge put forward to the Director Kaiser. Jerry, you want to tell us where we're at with regards to this?
Sure. The direction I took out of committee was to flesh out some thoughts on a public input plan for the giving the broader public an ability to weigh in on aspects of the design for that street. The committee would more or less sign off on that plan or provide me different direction, and then we would move ahead with having public information meetings. Several was the desire of the committee to have several meetings to open to the general public for their thoughts.
I think we're all cognizant of the time deadline, or time, not no deadline, but the timing. And I have been vocal that, yeah, I don't want to see this pushed back a year because it finally made it in the budget and that, and I'm going to get this behind us.
I'm going to say that the committee did give that direction to Director Kaiser with a strong consensus to timing so that we could get bids within this construction season. That's fair?
And one of the interesting facts that he brought up was earliest bids that we've had out were not as good as we thought they would have been. So having them way too early wasn't the answer either.
They're
So
only going to get worse, let me tell you.
well,
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you for the question. I understand. So, any other unfinished business before we move on to new business? All right, under new business, I will open it up for anyone, and then I have a couple items. Alderman Bates.
thank you, Mayor. We had a new member sworn in as the Committee on Aging. I would like to recommend or recognize one member that we've had on the committee for a long time. He passed last month. His name was Bob Cease, and many of you probably knew him. And he was hard to say, but he was full of life, and he was always challenging us, as Herb will do as well, to keep our eyes on how different populations, aging versus young people, need different things. And he was always for getting information out. He was one of the starting members for the school for seniors, and always learning things. He got his degrees later in life, and he was just a joy to work with, and we will all miss him.
Anyone else have any new business? I have a couple things. First of all, we met today as a staff, and we had quite a long meeting, about almost a 3-hour meeting with regards to some of the things that are going to be forthcoming. And this agenda wasn't very big tonight because of the holidays and how they fell and things like that. But I can tell you that things are probably going to start heating up a little bit, and the regular schedule and that will become a little bit more, I think, busier as we get into the construction season. And a lot of projects seem to be coming together that has been out there for a while. And so that part of it's real exciting. Just so folks know, on February 5th, which is our next scheduled council meeting, we're expecting, for your calendars and that, we very well could have a 6 p.m. meeting, or start at 6. We could possibly start at 6 p.m. and then have a fairly long agenda. We have a couple things going on. Director Hayes would like to have 10 to 15 minutes to talk about the inspection software, the Evolve inspection software that's ongoing up in community development. With Brian, with the retirement forthcoming of Brian, he'd like to use him and Katie to come and explain to us and talk about the inspection software. That's been planned for quite some time, but it won't take that long. We would like to also have a discussion that night, and that's what took up most of the meeting today. And I'll let Mike Easker kind of explain it further, but the borrowing of the dollars for the CIP, the borrowing. We've recently learned that the Arrowhead Park bids came in quite a bit more than what we anticipated. So where are we going to go from here? Are we going, Mike is ready to do the borrowing. There's no hurry. Market conditions have been very stable, but he would like to get that. So he'd like to have a discussion on that. Where are we going to land on the borrowing for 2020? You have anything to add, Mike?
Sure. Again, just as a reminder, the borrowing for 2020 included a net amount of $1.2 million for Arrowhead Park Phase 1. If you recall, and there was a number of things that were supposed to be done for that $1.2 million, but then a $200,000 grant back to the city, so $1.2 million needed to be borrowed. If you recall, in early December, Director Kading, as part of the presentation on Arrowhead Park, indicated that updated cost estimates for that Phase 1 came in over $2.3 million instead of the $1.4. And with that, then I think everyone, kind of had to, in their mentally at least, take a step back and go, okay, what are we going to do with this? And so the question before the council, from my perspective, would be: do you still want to go forward and borrow that money? If there is a alternative to what that money could buy now as opposed to what was projected to be purchased with that money, that would be forthcoming, or potentially to pull back and not borrow that money. I don't want to borrow $1.2 million without there being a true purpose for that money that is not consistent with what was budgeted at the time. So that essentially is the question that will be at hand on November 5th. I believe there will be some staff input specifically from Director Hayes and Director Kading with regard to this, and then we would simply act, if you're comfortable, act that night to either affirm a borrowing amount, or if there's still some question, we can continue to delay it. It's not like there's any emergency, but my goal would be that we would proceed and push forward on the borrowing as soon as we possibly could, but we cannot do that until we have a solid number to borrow.
Alderman Coons, go ahead.
In conjunction with that, not particular to Arrowhead Park, but to borrowing, would it be possible that we could review carry forwards? We never quite seem to get to that prior to borrowing, and if we decide not to carry forward $500,000, that's $500,000 we want to borrow, that kind of thing.
The challenge with that always has been that this is the time of year where we're just accumulating that information about where those capital projects are. As you know, we just approved, and the department heads would need to pretty quickly put together a pretty strong laundry list of where they are with their projects. We typically have not done that in the first 30 days of January because it's talk about a pretty tight time frame to get accurate numbers that the staff would be comfortable to say, I know exactly how much I want to carry forward for this. I know exactly how much I want to carry forward for that. I don't know what to say other than that. If we had another 30 to 60 days, I would feel far more comfortable giving you that information, but I don't know that staff would be able to give us information that I think would be as accurate as maybe it could be if we did it later on.
Alderman Bates?
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to recognize our city clerk for starting off the process of training us in Badger books. That will be the new way of checking in for voting. And it's going to be interesting and should work out so that we don't have to have as much paperwork. But in the meantime, you'll see us with double paperwork.
Okay, thank you. And then the other thing, so on February 5th, you got the inspection software discussion or presentation by Director Hayes, the borrowing of the CIP dollars, and then also Director Hayes is ready to go, and this council had asked for a committee of the whole with regards to the alcohol sales in convenience stores. He has collected a lot of information and is ready to present that information, and that's the best night for him to do that. So we would also like to do that. That could take, a little while to discuss. So, but it is just the presenting of the information. I don't think you're going to be asked to make any decisions that night. Chris just wants the opportunity to present the information that you asked.
What my intent is to present the information, and there were some questions that were asked that we would have answers to, and then present in a bullet point format items that could be included in the ordinance. So the only action potentially that would come out of that would be a directive to prepare an actual ordinance if the council so desires.
So those are the things that we can look forward to on February 5th. The agenda at this point, as far as the actual meat and potatoes of the actual council meeting, old as of today, is not that heavy. So that's why we want to get these other things out of the way before people are probably going to be taking off some time for maybe spring break or something like that. So, Alderman Stevenson.
Thank you, Mayor. Going back to the Arrowhead Park borrowing issue, when we last left here after the presentation, you heard the dollar amount. I guess I was under the impression that Mike Kading and Park and Recreation Commission were charged with trying to modify their plans or their project scope given the reality of the bids with either a reduced scope, an extended scope, some sort of response to almost doubling of the cost. Is that happening, or are we just going to be asked to determine whether we want to go full throttle with 2.3 million or whatever it is, and or not?
The staff meeting today was to do exactly that. Director Kading and Director Hayes kind of presented some of those alternatives to us, and they are now going to write those up and get them to the council.
Before the 5th, so that we have a chance to digest them?
Yeah, well before the 5th is what Mike, Director Easker, charged Director Hayes with doing well before the 5th today.
That may be overstating it a little,
but it is. It's important that you get it early.
I mean, I got to tell you, I was shocked with. I mean, I remember I asked them about the number, and they said, "Yeah, it's 1.2." And what's our plan going to be? And so when we said you're going to come to us and ask for feedback on the borrowing, it's like, what's the scope? So.
Well, that was the meeting today, and part of their charge is to get forth that information on what staff's recommendation is to you well before that.
Yeah, very good.
And then lastly, a couple things. as long as I got the ice rinks are open. Just wanted to make sure people know that the ice rinks are open. The shelter at Washington Park's open during that time frame. So all you got to do is go on the website and check that out. So I want to thank Park and Rec and Community First Credit Union. The Winterfest Festival last weekend, I guess, was very well attended. So that was kind of cool. Warm Your Hearts, Future Neenah, if anyone's interested, that's coming up. And Future Neenah is such a great partner with us, so I wanted to make sure they got a plug for Warm Your Hearts, which always sells out, I'm told. So if you're interested in exploring some of the stores downtown, make sure you get to Future Neenah and get there is a small fee, and you get a cup, and you get to have soup at a whole bunch of different places in our downtown. So that's something that people should check out. The last thing I have, I'd like Alderman Stevenson to help me with, and that's we just wanted to, we didn't have a meeting around the Christmas holidays, and we wished everyone Merry Christmas and everything, Happy New Year. There's one person here who's here almost every meeting, so twice a month, we have him here, and that's Dan, our guy who does all the televising and make sure that that goes off well. And so we wanted to just say thank you to Dan for all his hard work. And Alderman Stevenson, we have a gift certificate from downtown Neenah so that you can take some time and enjoy one of our downtown merchants, whether it be in the hospitality industry or one of our stores. And we want to say thank you for all the hard work you do to make us look good and make sure that the ship's running smoothly here when we have our council meetings. And people that watch this, there is a loyal group of citizens that watch our TV programs weekly. And the ratings
my
are...
uncle up in Macville. Every week.
The Nielsen ratings are probably off the chart, and we can thank you, Dan. So thank you for everything you do, and Happy New Year. So thanks for everything you do.
And it was Dan's birthday on January 19th.
Oh, wow.
So he got a cupcake.
There you go. Well, thank you very much. Anyone else have any last-minute announcements? If not,
move to adjourn.
Second.
There's a motion and a second for adjournment. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Broadcasts of the City of Neenah Common Council meetings are produced by University Studios of the University of Wisconsin-Fox Valley. Neenah residents can get information about City Council meetings, City Committee meetings, meeting agendas, and other documents via the City website, www.neenahgov.org. Neenah residents can express their opinions about city issues or about these broadcasts by contacting the mayor's office, contacting their city alderman, or by completing the electronic feedback form on the city website, www.neenahgov.org. All public portions of the meetings are recorded in entirety and are not edited for playback.